Today we're going to be upgrading the stock brakes on Kelsey's Miata with Wilwood Dynapro calipers from Goodwin Racing. This is their little big brake kit, so it does only come with the front two calipers, very similar to how when you get the Brembos from Mazda, it only upgrades the front calipers. Now this kit comes with pretty much everything you need, including of course the calipers. It has some brackets here so you can attach the calipers worry-free to the hubs of the car. These use the stock rotors, so we are just going to reuse those, but you can get new ones if you want. And this kit from Goodwin also comes with the Wilwood pads, of course, all of the necessary hardware, some brake fluid, and then stainless steel brake lines as well, which this might give us a small upgrade in pressure and pedal feedback as well. Now there were a couple things that I did purchase on my own in addition to this kit, and I would recommend you guys get as well. Anytime you open up the brake system, you're going to have to bleed the brakes. So for that, we got this All-Star Performance brake bleeder bottle. It's got a magnet on it to make it super easy to stick onto any magnetic surface. It also has a check valve built into the cap here, so you can bleed the brakes just by yourself. You don't need a second person to help you. And it comes with all the tubing and hoses you need, including this little vent port, and then you can stick it on there for storage as well. I also picked up another bottle of brake fluid just in case we need more than the single bottle that Goodwin provides. And then I also purchased this syringe to suck the stock fluid out of the master cylinder reservoir to make it easier to flush the whole system with this new brake fluid. In addition to this, of course, you're going to need a full set of tools, including wrenches, sockets, line wrenches in particular. They make certain flare nut wrenches that make it really easy to remove brake lines. So we'll get into all that in just a moment. Let's go ahead and get started by removing these stock calipers. Place some paper towels down, as inevitably some fluid will spill out. The first thing we want to do is remove the flexible brake hose that connects the hard line on the car to the caliper. There's two 12mm bolts to remove that will hold the flexible line in place. Then remove the 10mm flare nut using a flare nut or line wrench. Once you free this end of the hose, fluid will start draining out, so I like to take a bleeder bottle and place it under the hard line to catch the fluid that drips out. Now remove the two 17mm bolts holding the caliper assembly onto the hub. This will allow us to remove the caliper and flexible brake hose as a unit and be ready for installing the Wilwood calipers. To install the Wilwood calipers, we first need to install the adapter bracket. The engraved text should be facing inside towards the car when installing, like this. I like to put some Loctite on the bolts before threading them in all the way by hand, and then torque both of them down to between 59 and 74 foot-pounds. Now take the Wilwood caliper and remove the protective sticker from the back. This is where the male adapter for the new stainless steel line screws in. Get it started by hand and then tighten it down as much as you can with a wrench without stripping it. I believe the threaded hole in the caliper is tapered, so it should self-seal as long as the adapter is tightened down appropriately. Now we can slide the caliper into place and secure it with the new supplied bolts, which I also applied Loctite to before threading them in by hand. Then I torqued them both to 40 foot-pounds. Now that the caliper is installed, we can fit the new stainless steel brake line. The order here doesn't really matter. I chose to start by getting the line hand threaded onto the caliper. Make sure that the 90-degree bend of the hose is pointing inwards towards the center of the hub once it's installed. Next, get the floating bracket attached to the upper control arm using the original 12mm bolt. Finally, attach the other end of the hard line to the car and secure it in place with the other original 12mm bolt. Go back and tighten all of the nuts and bolts down to make sure they are snug. Lastly, we need to install the new pads. Doing so and changing them out is incredibly easy, as they're held in by this single retaining clip and then they just slide in and out of the caliper. No need to remove it like the stock one. The clip itself is held in by a single Torx bolt. I believe it's either a T25 or a T28. You just remove this bolt and then slide the clip up and over the caliper and it should pull out freely. Put some high temp grease on the back of the pads to prevent squealing, and then slide the brake pads back into place, lining up the holes in the backing plates with the holes for the retaining clip. Finally, slide the retaining clip back into place and tighten down the bolt to secure it. And that is how you install Wilwood calipers on an ND MX-5. All that's left to do is repeat this process on the other side and then flush and bleed the entire brake system with the Wilwood fluid. Fly Miata has a great video detailing the brake bleeding process, so I'll refer you to that if you'd like to see how that process is done. As always, I hope you found this video helpful, and thank you so much for watching.